Hi, everyone. Can you all hear me, please? If you hear me, give a thumbs up, please. Thank you. Or you just drop a message on the chat. So I'm waiting for the moderator to start the section for real life. So guys, we are going live now. So thank you very much once again for joining. We still have a very low number. We have 15 people joining right now. So we need to give it some time, some minutes for people to just join up so we can kickstart fully. Once again, thank you for joining. Okay, so we are starting now. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on your location. So, unfortunately, Femi is unable to unmute himself, and he will be on the background moderating the questions and that you have. You will be moderating the Q&A. So please feel free to drop your questions as we go along. Because of our time, we are going to start right now. So please, I have just put on my headset. If you can confirm once again, they can hear me clearly, or if there's anything I need to improve in terms of the sound. So that will be helpful. That will be very helpful. So I'm sure that you're following along. The topic for today, for those of you who have been actively following up in our meetup page, we are going to be presenting to you building an app with a AI app with Foundry. So Microsoft Foundry and the Microsoft Azure. So before I go on, so this series is brought to you as part of the meetup series by the Malta Microsoft AI user group. And you are part and parcel of the community, and you feel free to participate, take active participation, ask questions where you are lost. If you need help, just ask. So that is who we are and what we stand for. My name is Imo Etuk. I am the presenter for today's section. I'm a Microsoft MVP. I have my background from starting from system administrator, moving down to infrastructure engineer, system infrastructure engineer, then moving down to cloud, moving down to DevOps, now moving down to solution architect, and also doing some AI stuff. Moving further, our focus as a community is artificial intelligence. We also prioritize cloud innovation. We promote DevOps and engineering. Of course, that's where automation comes in when it comes to software deployment and management. So intelligent systems, which is also powered by AI. So that's what we focus. And today's date is 9th May, and it's a remarkable day that we are gathering once again to learn. Before I go on, so our community has the community governance and processes and our code of conduct. The moderator is going to share the links to this code of conduct and even our community governance for you to go through. There's also a pre-built already the repository that we have for today's section is also available for you to go through. Well, let me look for the link and share so you can bookmark and build along with me. Let me look for that link, GitHub. So while that is being done, just to let you understand that this call will be recorded, and the recording will be placed on our YouTube channel after the event. So if you are not comfortable with the recording, you can feel free to drop off at this point because the recording will be shared. So if you are not comfortable with that, drop off now. So another one is also that you are expected to be very respectful. You are expected to respect other people, other opinions, and all that. We do not discriminate. We love everyone. We carry everyone along, and we see everyone as equal. So the topic is right be in front of us. Build an agent. AI agent. Maybe the topic was not just captured agent because AI app still, but it's going to be a lot more of agent and all that. Now you are going to be running this thing from zero to deployed, an AI-powered support agent. What we are going to be building will be around customer support, and we'll build and deploy the fully automated demo that showcase AI agents carrying out customer support tasks to support an organization. A fictitious organization in this presentation is the name is known as Consorso Malta, and that's a fictitious organization, not a real organization. Just understand that. So the tool we are going to be using are already listed on the screen. I'm going to make use of Python Fast API, And we are going to also make use of React for front end, and then PostgreSQL database, and then blob storage, that is storage account. And all of these will be wired via the managed identity and the deployment. Though I provided 3 ways of deploying the app, but you can choose any one that works for you. We have the CI/CD pipeline DevOps deployment using GitHub Actions. We have the Azure Developer CLI command, AZD deployment options. And you also have the script deployment option and the local deployment option. So if you want to just deploy locally and all that. So what you are going to be learning today, you are going to have an exploratory knowledge of Foundry agents and tool use. We are going to critically look at the 3-tier application architecture that we are building. Then we're going to also look at the Azure App Service deployment, and then the identity, RBAC, and SCD. SCD means Azure Developer, CLI. So moving further, so if you have questions as I go along, just feel free to ask. I've already explained what we are going to be building today. But first and foremost, how do you build? Do you just jump to building? No, you need to understand the concept. So we have what we call Foundry, Microsoft Foundry. It is owned by Microsoft. It's a central enterprise AI platform where you can deploy agents and models. You can find models from the list of thousands of models available on Microsoft Foundry to deploy, to provide reasoning over your agent. So bear in mind that agent does not reason. Agent does not perform reasoning. Agent can only automate your tasks. And also, so what actually give agent reasoning is the LLM models, which are available on the Foundry. So the scenario is that before you jump to build a solution, you need to understand the user request. What is this user looking for? Here we have a request from Contoso Malta who needs an always on support agent for their customer service tax. So let's say Contoso Malta has provided you with this request. You need to critically analyze the request and then define that the request can be called business request in terms of business, but here we are not talking business, so we are going to use just request. So when you receive the request, you understand what exactly is the client, is the user pain point. What exactly are they facing? What challenges are they facing? It is until then you'll be able to define exactly solution that suit their needs. So Consortium Malta is drowning in repetitive tier 1 ticket tasks, such as password resets, order status, login issues, and customers wait long hours for a reply. Then they do not need another chatbot. They need a teammate that understands the problem and acts on his own, not chatbot. So agent is an extension of chatbot. Chatbot does not take actions except you ask questions. When you ask the chatbot questions, it stops there. It doesn't take further action. But agent does that. So before writing a single line of code, you need to sit with the user. You need to question their ask. You need to question what exactly is their ask. Which actions do they actually want to take? Where do humans still need to step in the process? Because no matter how AI is working, there must also be proper governance from the human perspective, and human in the loop must be fully integrated. So yeah, only then do we choose the right AI pattern and a Foundry agent that can classify the issue, look up or open tickets, attach evidence, and then reply in plain language. That's in natural language. and while gracefully escalating anything outside its scope or its remit into the human support. The lesson start from the user's job to be done, define the user job to be done, then pick the AI solution that fits the scenario that you're trying to solve problem for. Then, yeah, we will have the conversational UX, that is user experience, autonomous tool to use, and a production ready on Azure at the end of the day. Then why did we use Foundry? Why Microsoft Foundry? Like I mentioned before, for those of us who are very novice about Microsoft Foundry, the name sounds so unfamiliar to you. This is totally understood. And at the end of the day, I think the moderator is going to be sharing some links to fundamental courses where you can take on Microsoft Learn to broaden to sharpen up your skill and to be able to bring you up to speed with what we are building. And I will try as much as possible to bring the concept to your level if you're a beginner so that you can follow along. So Foundry, Microsoft Foundry, just the name that Microsoft used for their AI platform. In Foundry, you can find AI agent. What is agent? Like I mentioned before, an agent is a type of AI that can take action on your behalf. It can help you to automate all the boring tasks that are so repetitive, tasks that you can focus on something very important while the agent just do this thing for you. So those are the benefit of agent. Agent go ahead of the chatbot. Chatbot like ChatGPT with just static LLM model where the chatbot is exposed to you to use. If you drop a chat, its response give you the good answer that you want, but cannot go take a step further to go beyond what you ask it to do. But agent can take action while you're resting or while you're focusing on something that is important. Now, Microsoft Agent Foundry itself, initially it was called um, Azure AI Services. So Azure AI Services is now culminated into one enterprise-grade platform called Foundry. In Foundry, you can have the opportunity to govern your AI with tools like the Entra ID, in Microsoft Entra ID, that's the identity and access management tool in Microsoft platform. You can also have the access to also protect your intellectual property in terms of agents using the Azure Content Safety. You can also filter content that agent is delivering. You can also have access to tool like Model Context Protocol, MCP. You can also connect to your data sources like your storage account, your SharePoint, your Fabric environment, and also your storage account as well. Even your Azure AI search indexer can be connected. So all these tools are there, they are integrated. And it is a place that you can find models from Azure OpenAI. That is from OpenAI. You can find models from Anthropic Cloud. You can find models from Grok. You can find models across all third parties. You can also find Microsoft own models. So that is what it's a central platform, like I said. You find all these things in one place. So now one agent, many tools, zero clue code. So yeah, you have one agent alone can call many tools, and Foundry agent can handle threads, runs to and runs and two calls for us. So once a particular conversation is established, the agent picks up this your conversation, maybe a query like a question, and run a thread over maybe your data set or reason consult the LLM that is behind it, that's the model, and run a thread over that request and then deliver a suitable response to you, maybe make recommendation. Yeah, you just declare a tool, such as like what we are building is mostly related to ticket. Create a ticket, or lookup ticket that is already existing ticket, or list open ticket. So these are tools that we call. And don't forget, this tool can also be built as an MCP server. When we are in one of our series, we are going to also be speaking about MCP server protocol. So, and once these tools are being called trigger, the backend logics, that is the application itself that will be used to expose the agent, is going to execute the code, the request, and then get back to the agent and who deliver this to you. So there is also a built-in tracing from the Foundry portal that after the particular request has been carried out and delivered, you can go back and trace the the agent, the steps it takes to deliver the conversation or the response to you. And you can bring your own model. You can build your model maybe using the Microsoft machine learning, Azure machine learning environment to build your model. You can then expose it to Foundry portal and then use that same model to deploy agent. Then usually the best approach is for you to use managed identity for end-to-end deployment. Managed identity in this case is like a key that's given to maybe a visitor door. A visitor comes to your house and the visitor has an extra room with with a spare key. So the visitor can take action by unlocking the door and opening and stay inside there on your behalf without you being the one to open the door every time. So managed identity represent what enabled the interaction between the agent and your application. The agent and your application, because you as human being, you cannot be there every time to carry out the authentication. So managed identity is a managed identity service that is owned by Microsoft. So it is there to manage without you getting involved. Now, let's move to the next slide. If you have questions, like I mentioned before, feel free to ask. The moderator will do well to bring that to my attention. Let me see if there's any question. Okay. Can I see any option? Okay. So let's move down to the next slide. Now, this application is a 3-tier application plus agent. Now, what do we use? We use Fast API for backend, and there's a proper user experience that is a web interface that is powered by React 18 plus the Vite framework. And then we also have the backend API is Fast API, is Python Fast API. Now the agent service is also there, then the data layer. Data layer is powered by two tools. One is the Postgres DB server, and then we also have the Azure storage. What do they do? The Postgres database handle the read-write scenario of data. There's a user who logs in, has their data retained in the database, stored in the database, but the screenshot of maybe a customer ticket that a customer has attached a screenshot, that goes into the Azure storage. The agent picks it and puts it in the Azure storage. And this Azure storage, we storing the ticket on Azure storage, it is easy for you to retrieve and reuse for actions, for human action. So that is how the structure is. Now we go to another slide. Now technology choices that is made in this particular deployment. I think I've already explained this, but let me just give us a bit of insight. Now we have the chatbot, the chat UI with live ticket list, and it is deployed on Azure Service, Azure App Service. Azure App Service in this case is a platform as a service resource provided by Microsoft Azure. Here, Azure App Service is different from you using your infrastructure as a service like a virtual machine where you deploy Virtual machine is provided for you, but you are the one to manage the underlying, like the application you run on it and all those things. But with app service, everything, though the compute option, that's the VM behind the scene, is managed by Microsoft. So you just focus on your code, or making sure that your code is well refined and is deployable. So that's what the choice to be determined to make use of app service. Now, for fast API, Fast API is more reliable, is an enterprise grade in API that is, I think, is more reliable compared to Flask API. So there are about two popular Python API, Flask API and Fast API. So the choice of choosing that is also why we we want to make sure that the solution is reliable. Then Foundry agent. Foundry agent leverages, because most time you have to select agent, since this is like just like a demo section. So we make use of GPT-4 Mini, 4.0 Mini, with function tools. This one handles by the Azure AI agent SDK. It's built in the code. I'm going to still show the code interface. Now we also have the Postgres SQL Flex server option, flexible option server. Then this one stores customer names, tickets, messages, and attachment metadata. The attachment is written to Azure storage, but the metadata of those attachments is written to the database. So VIT is the one I want to speak a bit. That is the React plus Vite. So Vite it serves as a source files directly to the browser. So as a native ES models during our development process. So now, for those of you who are already front-end developers who have used React, and you must have maybe come across Vite before, and here you don't need any upfront bundling step at all. So once you just run maybe in npm run dev, your app will be ready in milliseconds without wasting time. So this makes the project fast in terms of when you want to build it. So that's the essence of this one. Then we also using a TypeScript on the background to just make sure that everything works out of the box without any like setting up Babel for those of you, or Webpack when configuration. So everything is bundled in one place. So now I'm going to the next slide. Now the capabilities, tools and capabilities. The agent takes charge of planning, tool calls, and reply naturally with natural language, in natural language. So here, the Foundry agent decide when to call your backend, and then we just register them. So if you look at create a ticket, look up existing ticket, look up ticket, that is the tool. Now, this returns full details for a single ticket ID. Another tool is also list open ticket. This lists all the open ticket that we have for a customer email. Threads and runs. Foundry manages conversation states for us. Each conversation, if you send a conversation today, maybe a question to the agent, the process of retrieving, undergoing the process of maybe creating the ticket for you, or opening the ticket or listing ticket, those are threads. You provide it with steps. There are steps behind the scene that happen. So Foundry handles that. Now we also have the managed identity, which I spoke about earlier. Here, the auth, the authentication between Foundry, storage account, that is the storage account, the app service, the PostgreSQL is managed by managed identity. You don't need to get involved in managing them yourselves. And the best place to serve those secrets that like the secret, like the environment variable for these tools I just mentioned, is the key vault, which I'm going to speak about that as we go along. Then every tool called visible in the Foundry portal. Once your conversion is finished, trace this on Foundry portal. You're going to see them. So now moving to the next slide. Okay, moving to the next slide. So the secret belongs in Key Vault. This is very key. For the purpose of this demo, we are not going to create Key Vault, but for your day-to-day, like when you are deploying an enterprise-grade a solution or application on Azure, it is mostly recommended that you store your secret values, such as connection string to your storage account, SQL Server connection, database connection string, and even password, if any, the app API key, and all that are meant to be stored in Key Vault. It is very easy to manage with Key Vault, and it's also very safe. Do not hard code your secrets on your code. That is not best practice. So you hardened your production because your production, let's assume you have built your app and now you are going to production. So your production is very key and you must, as a matter of fact, protect it very well. So managed identity, which I spoke about, the app service authenticate to Key Vault using managed identity, then app setting references. Microsoft.Key Vault values resolved at runtime. When your app runs, it picks the secret from Key Vault. Your app doesn't store the secret. So RBAC, not access policies. For Key Vault, because access policies is being, I think it will be retiring very soon. So it's becoming a kind of legacy model in terms of when you gain access to Key Vault. So the best practice is to manage it using the role-based access control. Is a feature in Azure. So OIDC, that is OpenID Connect. OpenID Connect is for you to use while deploying your solution using GitHub Actions. It gives you a federated credentials rather than relying on Entra ID app registration secret. In this case, you use what is called the federated credentials. Now, defense in depth. If you want to really tighten your production, you make sure that your Key Vault is passed through firewall and private endpoint. And you also enable soft delete. Soft delete in this case. Soft delete means every key deleted out of Key Vault is not going to be deleted totally, completely. It's still going to stay. I think it will remain like, I think retention days is between the 7 to 90 days. I think, before it's finally gone. Then purge, you need to also enable purge protection. The purpose of purge protection is to provide you with a kind of tamper-proof seal that this is very much required in production. It helps you to protect your key and encrypt them very well. So purge protection always is very, very key. You enable it for your Key Vault. Now, let's talk about the infra side and the security. Like I mentioned before, I come from the infrastructure background. And of course, the AI app cannot run without the infrastructure are the virtual network, even the app service, though it's a platform, but then there's still a compute functionality. That is a system behind it. But then the core platform architecture is that when we talk about security, we talk about networking, and this is what you need to take into consideration while deploying your app. You need to make sure that your app is deployed into a virtual network. So what is the virtual network? Virtual network is simply a network that is hosted in the cloud, in Microsoft Azure in this case. It is very similar to the physical network we have on our data center. Like we have the server, we have the switch, we have the routers that we set up within the data center. So virtual network is there to protect your solution, in the sense that you have a private access to private IP address, and you also have access to integrate and isolate your app using subnet. Subnet means the segregation of your network into many segments. You isolate your app. You can have two apps hosted in one, share one VNet, but they will get isolated using the subnet. So subnet is very key. Now you can also, with the help of VNet, you can isolate your app from the public internet. So people from the public internet cannot directly access your app. Now, private endpoint is very key. It lives inside your VNet and can connect to your app service, that is the PaaS service, like Foundry, storage account, and even to over Microsoft secure backbone network. So private endpoint goes through Microsoft managed and secure backbone network. Is not public. Then key vault, which I've spoken about it before. The right way to manage key vault is to make sure that there's either a VPN or a private endpoint behind it. So access should not be open to anybody to just access it. Now we have Azure Firewall. Firewall is very key in the sense that it protect your app against some of the ingress, or that's the inbound access coming in from people that you don't trust or from location. Then if you want to really obtain put in like what is called load balancer, layer 7 load balancer with your app. You use the app gateway. This is our function. This is our tool that we will talk about it maybe in some other section as we go along in our meetup. So then after Azure front door, you can use it when you want to have a global presence, when you have about people from different countries accessing your app. But for in terms of regional, maybe from if you want to deploy to Europe, not alone, you can use the application gateway. Now moving further, we are talking about this one, then now we need to jump into building this app. I'm sure the moderator must have shared some links with you. We have the repo, we have the Foundry docs for you to start with. We have the agent SDK documentation. We also have the accelerator that we based this demo from. Then we also have the Azure Developer CLI documentation, and then Foundry community that you can join and then learn. Then if you want to join our community meetup, GitHub page, you can scan this code on the screen, and then you join. So let's speak about the architecture of this app. In terms of, like I mentioned before, you need to really have an architecture overview of what you are trying to build. Nowadays, coding is not really the problem, because you can always use GitHub Copilot or any other coding agent to accelerate your development speed. But understanding the pattern of your applications, understanding all the nitty-gritty, what you need to put in place to secure and also to have a functional app is very key. So in this case, like I mentioned before, the front-end app is a single-page application managed by developed with React and Vite, and then it has a chat window, ticket list, and attach. Now, Fast API is the one managing the backend and interact with the agent using the managed identity, and that is the Azure App Services. Yeah. Now, the front end is also on Azure App Service. So, or you can use another other one like static web app. Now, the tools is called are secured. The tools are called over HTTPS. Then the agent, which is the Foundry layer in this case, we use GPT-4 O Mini, and there's a tool schema behind it. Then Postgres is used for to support customer DB, ticket, messages, and attachment. The Azure storage blob is also used for storing the attachment that we actually upload. Then the flow is that when a user come in, user can say, I cannot log in. Then this message is posted. This is a post request is sent to the Fast API chat endpoint, and there's a thread that is established to the Foundry agent. And after that, there's a loop between this flow, a loop whereby you observe it move from 3 to 4, requires action, create a ticket, move to 5, insert customer ticket number, ticket, and then the ticket ID is then submit, and then in assistant message, that's the agent message coming, which is handled by Foundry. then the data is written back to Postgres and and all that. So now moving further, I think this is already okay. Now here we have the blob URL, which is where the attachment goes into. I think the attachment are being uploaded there. So now let's go to our interface development platform. I'm just going to end the slideshow. So yeah, this is like I mentioned before. Let me increase this the text for my VS Code. Okay. So I don't know if there's any question. Let me check the chat. Okay. So yeah, we have the VS Code, one of the simplest and easy to use IDE. Yeah, I have the app already set up. So let's just explore the different different component of the app and all that. So now we have first of all, let's look at the GitHub workflows. We have a pipeline that deploy the backend. What is a pipeline? So CI/CD pipeline is written in YAML language, YAML file. So here, the parts are here, the code, the backend code, since we are deploying the backend. So the flow is that it will trigger into backend, trigger to the backend folder, check into the backend folder, and then check into where the pipeline is stored. This is the pipeline. You observe it goes to .github/workflows, and then you have the part here, and all of them, and then pick the application code which is hosted on the backend folder. They have everything here to pick. Now it runs a workflow dispatch, goes through the jobs. The agent is based on Ubuntu, that's the Linux OS. So this manages the authentication between the Azure and all that. So, but then the pipeline is there for you to use because of our short time, we cannot go about setting up the details. We are going to quickly just deploy the app. Now I added the deploy SCD YAML file, which is the deployment script we are going to use to run and deploy the entire solution in one stand. So the front end is also deployed with using this. Now we also have the CI that you can use to deploy the infrastructure using the Bicep. Here here you can use Terraform like an infrastructure as code or Bicep. Azure Bicep is owned by Microsoft. It's an extension of the standard Azure ARM template, but it's more easy to use. Now let's go to the app itself. So right now we have the backend. Let me explain this backend to us. If you go to the README file explain everything. Because of our time, I won't be able to. Let me just run quick. So yeah, you have just as I explained in the slide already. I'm not going to go over this. We have all these things on the GitHub repo. So now what you need to do as someone who wants to run this app on your system, you need to start by creating a local folder on your system. What do we do? You need to have Git installed on your system. If you type Git, if you go to maybe your terminal on your system, the terminal on your system, and type Git, it will give you this. This shows that you have Git installed. But if you do not have Git installed, you need to install it first of all on your system. And if you are using Windows, you can just do winget install Git, and it will install the Git bash or whatever. Or you can just go to the webs and download. If you are using a MacBook, you can do homebrew install Git. So it's that simple. If you are using Linux, you can do sudo apt-get install. Then those are some of the commands you can use depending on your OS. Now, once you do that, the environment dot example dot this one is what handles the files. All your when you are developing locally, when you are running this app locally, all your like the secret, like the database details is going to be stored here and get called in the application. If you go to this, okay, this agent, if you go to config, so you see that the whole of this property comes from the environment variable. So this is where the environment variable is being called. Usually for production, the environment variable is named as .env when you're developing locally. But this example is the one that we add when when you want to put this code in the public space. See, okay, this is an example of how to add it, how to add your secret. But when you are deploying it, you need to come to the backend and create a file name .env .env file. Then once you do that, you just copy example from the .env example into this. Or you can usually we name this, sometimes we name it .local to show that this secret stays local without going up. So that's how you can do it. Now we need to check if this is actually Git enable. If you run Git status, if it's Git ready, so you see that it's ready. I'm interacting directly with from the main branch, from what we have on our GitHub repository. So now I'm going to delete that folder, that file. Let me check. Okay, I think it didn't create. So that's how you can do. Okay, it's created. So you delete this. We don't need it for now. So all our secret is going to be managed upfront. So now go to this is the app itself, agent. All the agent endpoints, the tool the agent is going to call are being defined in the agent.py. .py means is a Python file extension. Py means Python file. That's the extension for Python code. Now is defined here, and we use the import JSON and all this. This is the agent SDK that I spoke about in our slide, in which I think there's a documentation for you to learn about. So this is the endpoint for AI project. That's Azure Foundry project that's being called. Here we have the get credentials, define all these ones, and also and everything is defined here. So go to, if you look at the tools are being expanded: open ticket, lookup ticket, and then create ticket, and the ticket ID is also. Now, if you go to config file, it has the app setting configuration such as database and Foundry endpoint and all that. Now the DB setup, which is the one managing all the SQL databases and all that, is also added. The main dot is where is like the server where your app actually runs from. So we have the storage, which manages the storage account, Azure storage account, managing the attachment and all that we upload to storage account. Then the requirement file is very important. Requirement file helps you to install all the requirement that the application needs. And this, if you follow the instruction gently in the README file, you say that you must install requirement. And you must, or if you are developing locally, you must create a virtual environment. With this code, if you run it, it's creating a virtual environment, but we are not deploying locally today because we are working with Azure. So I'm just trying to explain that to you when deploying. Then the front end file is just straightforward. You don't need to, the index.html exposes the front end in a single web page that just title that's Malta Microsoft AI user group Foundry support agent. I can change this one to agent if I want. So now we have that, and our file is situated at the deployment script we are going to use today is the deploy-acd. So if you do not have acd installed, you can just install it by running maybe winget install acd and all that, and that will happen to you. So now let's deploy the code, the app itself. Or you can tell what's the name? You can tell a Copilot if you have the Copilot to deploy the app for you. So that is how you can also do that. So let me go to let me see. Okay, so we have the app. So now let's get the CD into the app. Already we are in the sorry. Let me list the app that we have. Okay, we have the component of all the app here. So we just need to do SCD auth to authenticate to our Azure environment. If you haven't done that already, so you can run SCD auth login. This is different from using the normal Azure CLI. And once we do that, it will open our browser. And let me bring up the browser screen that just popped up right now. It will open our browser and ask us to authenticate. You feel free to remove the, as in to get the account that you want to log in. I've logged in as this my email. So after that, you now go to, you can set the environment variable, or you can create the new environment. Let's say we create the new environment called where is that cd? So we have the deploy file here. Okay. So now you can create the environment by doing that. The environment in this case means resource group. On the Microsoft Azure environment, resource group is like a logical folder, just as you have a folder within your system to hold your files. That is how what's called resource group is. So we can do RG, that resource group, MMUG, agent support service. Okay. So when you do that, okay, wait. Let's go to so the I'm trying to get that environment where okay. So this is in the let's clear the screen. So we have a I'm trying to get the flow. Okay. Now if you go back to this particular folder, we need to navigate to GitHub dot where the script is. GitHub / workflows. So we have the SDD file there. So we do SDD. We have the SDD there. So the file there is this deploy dot or you can put SDD up deploy dot dash SDD dot YAML. So here it's going to ask you for the environment name. We are going to use the RG dash MMAUG dot or dash agent. So it will initiate the environment creation. That's and will prompt you to select your subscription that you want. So in this case, you just type already the subscription is highlighted. So what you just need to do is maybe to just, let me expand this guy. It's just for you to click enter to maintain that. So now for Postgres password that you want to deploy, Postgres SQL that you want to deploy now, it will prompt you to create password. You can create, it maybe the thing will be automatically generated, or you can just put the password that you want to use. And here I'm going to enter a password that I know I can enter. That is the database password. So let me just enter. So that's the password. Now you need to select the resource, create a new resource group. So in this case, just enter one to create a new resource group. And here you need to be careful because the agent service is not in all of the regions in Azure. Let me expand this one. So the most reliable region is the Sweden Central. Let me check if I can find Sweden Central, but if there's none, we will have to go with the East US too. You can always find Sweden. Can you find Sweden here? Let's check through. So a region is where is like a location where your application lives, where the agent is also deployed to. So here I choose Sweden Central. Now I enter a new name for the resource group. I can enter, what did you say? Okay, I can enter this. I can still start with RG, but this one I will say MAUG dash agent service. So this, with the single command, it will deploy the entire app. So what we need to just do is to go back to the portal, to the Azure portal in this case, and monitor the deployment. If, as when it will finish, then after it's finished deploying, we'll now explore the various, test the app and all that. But another one is also on the GitHub page. If you want to deploy using the CI/CD pipeline, what you need to do, this is the repository, this is the repo. So here, you have everything that I have locally here. So we are setting up a GitHub action in this case. You must have, from the Microsoft Azure side, you must have deploy what is called, maybe create like an app registration service. This one, you go to, no, not here. Go to Entra ID, Microsoft Entra. Then from the Entra ID, you need to create an app registration service, an app registration, SPN, service principal, that's what it's called. Then after you create, you just, let's say, build demo, build AI app, SPN. Once it's known as app registration, but once you create, it becomes a service principal. Then you can select a tenant that you want it to leave. You now register. It's not hard more than that. So now in this case, the first thing you need to create is the secret. For production, when you're working in a production environment, you don't need to expose your secret. Secret is a one-time key you can copy, but in this case, I'm not going to create secret but you are going to take note of the application ID, your tenant ID, and all that, where you can use to deploy the app. So if you come to the secret place, this is the federated credentials that will enable you to establish OC OIDC connectivity to GitHub. Yeah, you just need to select which one you want to use. Deploying with GitHub Actions, you select that one. Then you need to provide the GitHub organization name and the repo. In this case, the GitHub organization name is mmaug-org. That's if you are using, I'm showing us this if you are using, if you want to deploy this app using CI/CD pipeline, using GitHub Actions. Now the repo name, repo in this case is, let's go back to to the root, this one. This is a repo name. So you just copy this entire repo name, repository name, and paste here. Now type. The entity type is you want to add that to environment. Environment name, that is the GitHub environment name. In this place now, within the GitHub repository, you must have created an environment. If you go to settings, you see environment, you add a new environment, build AI app env in this case. So you just configure your environment, meaning all the deployment that comes in, they require reviewers, meaning that your pipeline cannot just automatically deploy when it will build successfully, but when it gets to app deployment, a human being has to approve it. So in this case, I can select people that I want them to approve this deployment. You can select more people in your, depending on what you want. So after that, you can save this, save protection rule. Now, after that, we have done that. So what you need to do is to add environment secret. Environment secret, you add them one after the other, depending, that includes your database, connection string, your storage account connection string and all that. Then I'm going to take the environment name to this place. So you name it. What are you building? Yeah, I'm going to say build AI app. So you add this federated identity. Now let's go back to our app deployment and monitor it. So it's still much deploying, but we should have some resources right now. If you go to the resource group, you're going to see the resource group that we created, and that will give us that, okay, right now we have deployed the OpenAI service. Remember, no, this is not okay, this is the resource group, this one. So yeah, we have the agent, but that is the Microsoft Foundry service. And if you click here, if you click the project, for every Foundry resource, there's a project. So let's go to the root or resource group. Here we have, you will find a resource, that is Foundry resource. What you need to take note of, there's a keys and endpoint. There is a project keys and endpoint. I'm not going to, let me see. Here, the endpoint is what if you want to use endpoint, you can copy any of this API key, but in this case, we are not using any API key. We are using a managed identity. I'm still going to show us that. So for every Foundry is a project. And when you open the project, that is when you can see the agent itself. So now going to the Foundry platform, here you can see, what's the time? Oh, 9:06. Oh, we are more than about 6 hours, 6 minutes, 3 minutes past 6, but I'll be done shortly before you know. So right now we have the project, and we are about to see the agent itself. So this is the Microsoft new Foundry portal interface. You can switch back to the local one, but then the challenges is that agent deploy using the old Foundry interface will not work. So what you need to do, you can convert this into agent that can work in the new interface. Let me go back to the new interface. We go to build. Within the build, it will prompt you that there's an agent that you need to update. Remember, my deployment goes straight to the classic Foundry. Here, I just need to update it. And once I update it, it will bring the agent. Yes, so this is the agent. I can decide to name the agent with any name, but I'm going to leave it at default name that I have right now. So this is the agent. Now I can save it as a new agent with a new name. Maybe I can say, let me just save it, customer support agent. So I will create and then open the playground. So right now we have our agent here, and in here there's agent code. All the agent details are here. So I can pick this name now. When you pick the name, and let's go back to monitor our deployment. If we have all the resources right now deployed, we go back to the root resource group. We still have the app. Okay, the app has been deployed. This is the app service. Let's check which one is the front end. So if you go into the app service, that is the app service means a managed platform as a service. Right now, we need to know which one is the backend and which one is not the backend. If you go to the environment variable, the agent, the script loaded all the environment variable ones into this place. So this is the front end. No, this is the back end. Yeah, this is the back end. Okay. This is the front end because you see all this API based. So this is the backend API. This is the backend URL. So this is how backend and front end get connected. When an app is running, it runs in a kind of a fragmented way. We have the front end separate and the back end separate. But what can connect them together is by linking the editor using the environment variable section of the app. So right now, this is our front end. And if I open to this URL, you should be able to see, though it's still 404 because I think our database is still deploying. Oh, deployment has failed. So here, I do not want to waste our time. So we have a fixed agent that can fix it, and which is GitHub Copilot. So if you have this kind of issue, you can quickly just copy that error like this, and then open your GitHub Copilot chat or Copilot agent and paste that error. And or if you want to add more, because of our time, I'm not going to add more prompt. So it's just, you can tell it to analyze the code base and see that the deployment is failing. What you can do, just for those of you attended our event at that's the GitHub Copilot event, you can open a folder named github.github. Now, when you do that, it's already in existence. So because we have the other one already, so we can do. It won't be possible to have two.github, but then you can put it in the workflow folder. You can say, okay, here under this workflow, create a folder, a folder in the root of the github core agent. So all your agents instruction plans will come in here. You can name this file bug fixes. So bug fixes will be that all the bugs you need to fix about this application will be done using this particular file right now, this particular one. So you can start by asking Copilot to investigate the ACD deployment. See, in fact, you even complete the instruction when the the agent itself is going to give you suggestions. So you can just press your tab key and it will map the instruction. So now you just save it and come to this one. Is telling you, it's trying to investigate the previous command that I passed. I can just click allow all commands so you can run everything. Now it's going to investigate and see. So you can come to this place and select that bug fixes and work with that. Make sure that all the bugs that you need to fix about the solution is captured in bugfixes.md file. This is how you can fix boxes. Then if you want to add a feature to your application to extend it, you can add a file named features.md. So if you want to extend it for future, you can just do that. So now he's trying to investigate that and see that the algae exists in the AZD, but not the default one. I will fix the, okay, let's see, do what they wants to do now. So you just monitor the agent, the Copilot agent resolving this problem. It has gotten the agent ID. We go back to to Foundry in this case. So let's do. I'm going to maybe Copilot will want to still create that into the old Foundry interface, but let's observe and see what happened. So at the end of the day, you said I can continue this. Provision is already complete, no need for full ACD deployment. So now it has fixed the agent ID. So you can prompt it. You can just tell Copilot to deploy the remaining maybe component or agent component in this case. So let's just finish that. So it's checking through to deploy the remaining services. Now we have changes on our GitHub, and we need to commit it in case of, because when you want to deploy the app, you might face the same error. So that is when you need to what we constantly commit what we have done. So I'm going to go out of this particular directory, one step ahead. So here we have if I do git status, it shows us files that have been modified. So GitHub /agent file, and then the script create agent file where the file that were modified. So what you need to do is to do git add to add all the files that were changed, to stage them anyway. Then you now do git commit with your clearly defined maybe commit message. Modify the fix bug in the create agent.py file and added bug fixes.md file. So this can be your this thing. Now you do before you push it, you can check, you can do git remote -v to know that you are in the proper head working directory. -v shows that okay, you are directly pointed to the repo. This one. So before you can now do okay, git push origin main, because I'm going straight to the main branch in this case. So once you push that, the changes here is going to be disappeared. So you can now go back to GitHub and check that the commit has been made and all that. So once we are going to keep monitoring the app, you can also check the app from the app settings logs to see what happened, what happened to what you deploy under deployment center. So you can check the app logs to see what went wrong and all that. The logs can also help you to monitor what happened and all that. So let me go back here. Okay, this because I'm not deploying from our CI/CD pipeline. Let's go to, there's another, that log can be enabled when you can use advanced tool. You can go to Kudo console to check logs as well, rather than apart from the other side. So let's check if this is done. It's still deploying. So you just check the terminal. So I wanted to monitor the commit we just made right now in our GitHub. So if you come here, go to code. So you see the changes we made right now, the file added from the local system. So that's how you manage Git command and all those things. So let's go back to this one. You say okay, deployment is still running on the background. I will be notified when it's complete. Once the API service finishes, ACD we proceed to the web app service automatically. So GitHub has solved that. GitHub Copilot has solved that problem for us. So let's go back to the Azure portal and check what we what we deploy. This is the, let me check. I think this is the front end. Okay, this is the front end. So let's go check the back end. Meetup 07. So this one is the back end. No, this is the front end. This one is the API. So this is the back end. So if you go to the API link, I'm sure the app is still being deployed, but then let's see. Now, if we check the environment variable, we are going to see that the script has loaded all the secret that we need. Both agent ID, the course origin, which is pointing to the front end URL. So that's how the app get connected to each other. You can manually add this, but it's not always advisable to manually add. You can use script to load them once. You can also point them to what's it called, to CI/CD pipeline, then passing through key vault. So now the app is reporting application error, the backend. So what you can do is to go back to GitHub Copilot and check what happened. Now you can say still in the app service runtime startup, please. The spinner is animating, not waiting on input. So I can say, okay, I will just pass that the backend is reporting this error. So you just the Copilot is going to check it and then tell us what happened there. I didn't make any changes there. So it's stuck because the app service isn't starting. Let me investigate. So let's investigate that. So it's going to walk through the logs. After this interface will be done we just proceed to testing the app. I know that the time is fast spent, but let's finish the app. So let me check in case there's any question in the chat. Okay, so just in a couple of minutes it will be done. So he's saying that he's mixing the startup script. So he's trying to fix that, and it will take time. The expected location startup script wasn't found. Okay, this is a startup script. Oh, I see. The core issue is that startup script needs to be in the root. That's the root, the www.root app settings, and this will fix it. Let's go in direct bash script and so this is the bicep file that handles every app settings. The main.bicep file is the one managing all the app service deployment, the settings and everything. And I think there was okay. So GitHub Copilot has fixed the error that is here, and it is redeploying the backend API right now. This command redeploy the backend API. So let's quickly. So there is changes also to the main.parcel file, which needs to be committed. Let's hold on in case there's any other changes that the GitHub Copilot will make. So let's go back to the web page and try to refresh this. So most time the changes might be made, but not reflecting. So you can do hard reset, Control Shift R to hard refresh the page. So let's reload. If it's window, I think Mac doesn't work there. So it's still running. Let's see. Waiting for completion. Okay, now I can say you should check the front end once. Check the front end app. So let's get the output. But returning for which is the error we saw. So let's see. So now it's telling that it needs to handle that. So let's go. Two issues to fix for the front end. Then the actual YAML file, which I forgot to explain, is the one that handles the packages for the front end app, both backend and front end app service also. So one thing that you must also take into consideration is your ability to use the AI to troubleshoot your work. So you wouldn't be able to, if you want to fix it yourself, it takes much longer time. So you must also know how to use the AI tool like GitHub Copilot or any one of your choice like Claude, Code, and all that. So in a matter of minutes, the issue will be resolved. And let's close this guy. So the front end is up, but then we need to test the agent endpoint. So now let's go back to, okay, let's try to ask, this is Alice. So if I change this username right now, let's check the backend first. If the backend API is running, let's see. But the front end will not work without the backend. So it's not up yet, but it will. So right now, let's inspect the resources we created for other resources we created. Within the resource group, you can check to see that we have the DB service, that's the database. Right now, when you go inside the database, you will see databases. In here, you can see support. Our time is fast spent, but to connect to DB, to be able to view the actual DB, you need to install Postgres DB extension. Then you just establish connection using the details by adding server, add a connection right now. If you add a connection here, you'll be able to have the details of those server added. So let me go back to this place. You can create the local, or you can create an Azure flexible, or you can create now. Let's go to connection. Here should be the connection. So you provide the server name, provide the server password, which we created earlier. Most time, the reliable way is to use it an Entra ID authentication, but here we chose password. So just run this and then connect. It will connect, it will enable you to interact with the database up on Azure. So that's one service that we created. Then the storage account is this one. In storage account, all the data will go into what is called blob containers. The blob container is right here. And whenever a ticket is created, you'll be able to have access here. Now, the reason why I cannot have access here is because my user account has not been assigned a role to this storage account, so I cannot read it. So what I would do is to go to access control. This is the RBAC role I was talking about. So I'm going to add myself as a storage account, maybe manager or whatever. So we search for storage account. Under here, you see, you can do storage blob, contributor access. The best way to manage your roles, access to your employees or to your colleagues or whoever that works under you, is to use the role-based access. So that they can only have access to what they are meant to use to work. So now I'm going to add access to myself, so that that error can go away. So I'm going to also show us the managed identity that I spoke about. The managed identity is going to have access to this storage account to be able to accept screenshot upload, maybe complaint upload. So if you come to this place, role assignment, so you check through the managed identity. Did you see this? So this is the managed identity that controls the app that we deploy. This is the backend managed identity. So this is where that backend app has access to this particular container, our storage account. So now I have access now as human being, as an individual, to this storage account. And when we create a ticket, let's check if the backend is up right now. If you initiate a chat, let's say I create a support ticket for password reset. It will tell you that the service is not available because the backend is still stuck. So that's why the front end is relying on backend. So I can tell this guy to check the status of the status of the backend deployment and Foundry agent service. So just pass that prompt and so yeah, the agent is checking. That's the Microsoft, the GitHub Copilot is checking for what is happening on the background. Now, for those of you, I'm not sure if there's any question in the chat. Let me check if there's any question in the Q&A section. If you have question, let me know. There's no question yet. Okay, said Azure give access to Foundry, Visual Studio. Okay, clone the repository. Okay, that's the step for. I think that's the agent folder you created earlier under this folder doesn't work as a natural language passed onto the GPT you are using for troubleshooting. Olubenga James. So yes, the agent folder is like a planned file that you use to organize, like if you have bugs, fixes, and you can put it there as long as that file is set within the agent directory. That's the agent the directory, and it must be under .github. So yeah, I can, when I want to really fix bugs, when they're like a major bug, now I can also begin to add a lot of bug issues that to this file, and then I will just tell GitHub Copilot to refer to the bugfixes.md file to fix all those bugs. Now, if I want to add a feature to extend this, I also do so. So now he's telling me that the backend is up. So if I refresh this page, we should have our API backend up, but it's not yet up. Let me go back to the portal and then check the API up and check again. It's still showing that. So I'm going to go back here and say that okay, it's still waiting for the API to be deployed, but frontend is open. Okay, that's what it said here. So I can also say that we need to check the DB setup and connectivity if it's well in place. Check the DB connection with the app. So it's going to investigate if DB has been properly mapped and linked to the app settings. Although we have the details already in the app environment variable, we have the DB, this is the Postgres, DB and all that host, and most time because of the secret, this secret cannot be exposed in public because anyone that has it can have access to your DB. So, but then if you want to add it manually, you can add it. The best way to manage it is by going through Key Vault. Then Key Vault is right here. Let's talk about that while waiting for the app. So yeah, already I have one existing Key Vault which I used some time ago, but I can create a new one using the portal. Just create blah blah. But let's experiment with the existing one since I cannot go. So yeah, we have the Key Vault. Right now, there are some secret. Okay, there's no secret in place. Why can't I access this content? Because I do not have Key Vault permission. So just as on the storage account, I'm able to assign myself either Key Vault officer or contributor role and all that before I'll be able to access that Key Vault. So these are all what the work of the role-based access control. I can search Key Vault. So as an administrator or as a cloud administrator, these are what you do. So Key Vault administrator or Key Vault secret officer and all that. So you can, let me assign this one. So I can have proper permission. So yeah, I will just select the person that is involved, which is me, and give it the access. So it is until here that I will be able to have access to lists, the keys, and create the key. Now, list key access is not assigned to myself. So what I will do now, I will go to access policy. Let me go to access policy because this is not actually using the recommended one, the role-based access. That's why that access assigned to myself didn't work. So at this point, if I change it, it will now apply. So I now change it now. I have access now as a role-based, but not access policy. Like I mentioned, access policy is legacy. It's also Microsoft recommend you to use Azure RBAC in managing Key Vault secret. So right now I can list my secrets because I just changed the access mode. I can add, say, okay, this is DB connection string, DB connection. There's naming is constraint. You cannot put underscore in the name of your secret or whatever. So you need to use like DB connection string. You need to use a hyphen connection string. So now here you add the secret value. Once you add your secret value, I was showing us about GitHub Action, how you can set up GitHub Action to be able to deploy using CI/CD pipelines. So right in this place, you can go back to your settings, action, go to general, and then sorry, let's go through the environment, go to environment. Here we have the environment here. Within this environment, open it. Once you open it, you can add secret. You can add this name here, and then maybe just put any value here for testing purposes. This is testing value. You just add that value. So now, failed to add secret. Name can only contain this. So name, yeah, they say is failed. So what I can do is that I need to change the naming convention. Is to do. So name can take this one. Name can be anyone, but the value can be this one. So now, yeah, I have one secret that I store. Now, while deploying your pipeline, you are going to point it to pick environment, to this environment name, build AI app. So that's how the pipeline gets, the secret get loaded at runtime of the pipeline. So let's go back to GitHub Copilot and see if it has finished troubleshooting this. Now redeploy API with both fixes. So it makes some fixes. As you can see, we have about 4 changes in our file. So we need to just commit that so that you that's running, that will work with this repository can see something to work. Now he has verified the DB and the connection is returning green. So let's go back and add this guy by doing git add. So git commit with a GitHub message. Commit messages are what will enable your colleagues or your collaborators, those that are working with, to understand exactly what changes you make to the code. So yeah, you just put that you modify the main.bicep file and all that. So just depending on what message you want to put. Okay, I think I didn't put sorry, the git was wrongly spelled. So I just go here and correct this. So now the file is being staged. So you now push the changes. Git push origin main. You can create a branch. Like from you are working from, if you want to work from this repository directly, you need to do git checkout branch. Your branch can be maybe it could be like development or develop branch. So or you can do, let's do git let's do git branch. You can do git branch and then it will create a new branch, but the other one also git checkout can also create a new branch. So now you can do, now we have created one branch. If you do git branch, you're going to see you have 2 branches. So if you do git checkout develop, it will switch to develop branch. So the git checkout was not spelled correctly. So now I am in the develop branch now. So I want the develop branch to also appear up and have the same content and be at the same level with the main branch. So what I just need to do is to do git add properly now, and then do git commit, and then I'll just add my own commit message like created the develop branch. So we have that now. Created did I stage it? Yes, I did. Nothing to commit. Everything is working. Okay. So no, okay. What I just need to do is let's do git push origin develop instead of main this time around. So it will push changes to the develop branch. Now let's go back to GitHub, and on that code, let's see. So we have develop branch and they have both the same content. So while you are working on See, this branch is up to date with main. So if you make changes on dev, you need to create a PR, what is called PR. So this section is just making you to learn about a lot of these things. So, but then it's also good to talk, because as a developer, these are what you need. So now let's go and monitor the app fixes that this take. It's a current deployment, it's taking this fix live. After I finish, the health should return okay. So now let's go back to this interface and refresh the page to see if our backend is picking up right now. So if not, let's ask this to pull up the deployment logs so that I can monitor it. Pull up the deployment so I can monitor it also. So I can monitor it. So you can ask that. So you need to see the step or whatever is deploying on the background, because it's taking longer. So here, the key vault is can add the secret value here, and then you click create, and that will create a particular secret. So let's go back to close this particular interface. Go back to API, open a new one. It's still showing the same error. So let's go to it's checking through. It's subscription 9 AA. Okay. Succeeded, but container is returning 504, 503, likely a startup crash. So the container is still failing. If you go to this is still failing. The container did not start. So the error is that, let's check if we can capture logs right now. Let's see. Okay. So these are some of the logs that is coming. Let me open this one. So running, generating on, okay. So let's go back to check like the config now. Let's check health check and see if the health check is not enabled yet. Just leave that. So if you check, I think I opened this logs interface down. Let's check this guy again. Let's see if I can get some logs here. Sign in. The time is fast spent. So let's go to log stream. Let me see. So yeah, I have the log stream right now. Container is stopping. Okay, so what could cause this and be that maybe the DB is not talking to the backend. So there are a lot of things. While waiting for GitHub Copilot, we can also check container first start up this. So let it stream. When you see it, tell me what the error is. So now I can take this error based on this log stream. As at this one is starting, I can go to. You said container failed at that time. I think this is the time. Let me see. 1741 UTC. So it failed at what time? So okay, it's the same one. So, but let me just also paste this and tell it to check again. Let's also test the app UI to see. But this is a DB. Okay, I wanted to check the connection, the managed identity linking to DB, if it's actually mapped to the app one, to the backend at least. So if you go to, okay, this is a task, not this is storage account. So there's API that comes from storage account. It has this one. So this is also okay, another one I wanted to mention, I forgot to mention, is that before you can deploy AI services on Foundry, you need to be assigned Azure AI user role. This is very important, otherwise you won't be able to open that. And that is managed using managed identity, not me, but a managed key. So now if I go back to this resource group. Check the backend API. So it's just remaining to test this app. I can check maybe docs to see the API Swagger interface and see if it's. Okay, so you can also, let me see if it will open up right now. No traces to this time, so I think it will go. So until the backend is up, that's when the front end can talk. So front end doesn't have any intelligence. It just to expose what the backend has. Let me check again on a fresh browser and see. So, but then that is how you can do. Because of our time, I think we have overstayed, almost going to 2 hours. Though I needed to test that app front end and show you in terms of the flow and all that. But after deploying the front end, if the back end works right now, container is still existing log hotel live stream. So no tracing this. It's not capturing log again. That's another. So is detected. Okay. It could be that this app, no, it doesn't have any problem with the location. So let's check the front end that is running. The web is running. So the front end is running fine. Let me see. So unable to fetch still because the backend is not reachable. But let me ask Copilot to carry out an overhaul of the backend deployment. And we deploy the app, the backend afresh. So let's pass this command to it and see what happened. I can, let me see. Let me stop the previous query that I sent, then send this new one. So and see what will happen. Needs to be fixed before the redeployment. So it's checking through. My plan is to add Guineacon back to the requirement file. Okay. So I'm telling it to overhaul the existing app just by deleting or destroying it. So okay, the runtime is actually deprecated. Let me check what maybe that could be the problem. 20, okay, not just 20, 20 long LTS. So could be that the runtime is old. Okay, but then let's go to the agent playground and we can test the agent using the playground. Let me go back to, this is the agent right now. Let me go back to the old Foundry model and check if Copilot are deploying a new agent. Let me check that. Then we can test this using the playground. So we redeployed one more agent, which we need to maybe kind of move to the other new interface because this old interface is not really working fine. So we go back to the new Foundry interface. Now we are going to check the agent. The agent is not showing up here. So I can view classic agent in this place. And I can move them to the new interface. Let me cancel this. Move this one. No, this is the one. This particular one is one I need to move. Which one did I? New agent, save as a new agent. Okay, let me save this as new agent. So I'll create it. Now I'm on the agent program. I can say, okay, the work of the agent, mind you, the agent instruction is defined here already. So your work is that you are the customer support agent for Consortium Malta. You be concise and friendly and professional. Identify the customer this thing. So I can say, okay, you should create a ticket for me to create a ticket for me to reset my password. This place is called the agent playground. While the app we are building is our own custom app to expose this agent, because not everybody, if you want to make this app to be public, it is not everybody that will have access to this app. So right now, if I check my logs, now these are the tools, the thread I was talking about, agent thread. So now we have the conversation, the response, and the tool. It calls create ticket tool because I asked the agent to create a ticket for me. Right now it has created the ticket. Now I can say, okay, list the tickets you create. List the ticket. So it will say no to output for call to. You couldn't get that list the ticket to. But okay, let me check the YAML code. The code is also embedded here to check. Create ticket is there. So the only tool that is being defined here, lookup. Okay, so there's nothing like list ticket. So lookup ticket is the appropriate tool, or open ticket, or maybe. So these are the tools I need to use. So the keyword here is also very important. You can, if I say lookup ticket, so which is the one I want to use. If I go back to the playground, this is the one I'm using right now. So I will now say lookup ticket. So let's see. So you will simply provide an email address so I can assist in looking up your email, your distance. I can use this email address, which is stored in the database, Alice at Consoso. And just I can provide this if Alice has any ticket. So nothing returned, let's say open ticket. Okay, now if let's check something like storage account. I want to check if anything is there. So from the storage account, I can click and check the container attachment. Nothing is there yet. So let's just check if this is still deploying. The app is uploading. I will stop pulling. The sync command will be done when finished, and I will be notified. So let's just, time is gone. So what I will do, because of our time, I will complete the recording in case you want to drop off, so feel free. But the recording is going to be definitely posted on our YouTube channel. So I need to complete it so you'll be able to have a full end-to-end deployment of this app and see it working when you are trying to build it. And when you get the recording, or if you are following on the recording, just ensure that you're able to extend the functionalities. The front end right now is still very basic. Of course, they know a lot of functionalities and navigation menus and all that, so you can extend it. Like I mentioned, if you want to use GitHub, if you are using GitHub Copilot to do this, you can define your features you need to see. You can tell the agent to add the navigation menu to the kind of navigation menu to the app. So what do I wait? Let me see what I mean. So wait, let me close this guy. So I can say add navigation menu to the menu to the customer support agent web page. So now there's an auto complete that is suggested by GitHub Copilot itself. That is the planner agent that is within this GitHub Copilot, allowing users to easily access different sections of the support. So this could be a new feature. Now, if we fix the bug here and the app runs, you can easily just tell Copilot to go and implement the feature in the fixtures.md file, and it will do that for you. So that's how you can keep on extending the functionalities and all that. And before you know, you have something that is now I can now commit, so we can close for today. But then the app is still deploying. Like I mentioned, I'll complete the deployment, then put the recording on our YouTube page, and the slide will be shared later in the group chat. So be on the lookout for that. And also, don't forget to get the code from the repository and deploy. I'm pushing the changes. The fixes is being pushed. The instruction on how to run it and deploy is here. For the deploying using the ACD command that I'm using now, you just use this command right now. But you must make sure that you navigate to github github/workflows folders, because this is where the deployment file is. For those of you who are deploying using that, if you want to use the CI/CD pipelines, you proceed to complete all the environment variable settings that I started from my own end. You may not have access to this setting. You need to clone it to your own. You can create an environment and this thing, add a secret, then go to GitHub, go to Azure, create an apps registration, then create your OICDC, that is set up the SPN, and instead of using the secret, this can be found here. You can go ahead and modify all this stuff, pointing them to. So this is how you can do that to use the CI/CD pipeline. I think if you have any question, let me know. Or you can reach to me even on the group chat. The learning doesn't stop here, so we continue on the group chat. So you can feel free to drop off while I still stay to complete the deployment. But if you wish to stay, no problem. So we have, let me check the status of the deployment. By going back to the Azure portal, then check the backend API and see. The backend API is still not responding. Did it check the issues detected at runtime? Okay, the app is still starting up. So let's see. But most time the startup time is taking time. I can also let me check something with GitHub Copilot right now. The app is starting. Let me say the startup time of the app is is slow. Let's check this. I can just put that simple prompt. So you can check the startup time and tell me what needs to be optimized because it's taking much time. So for identity right now, okay, how do we now know that the app has what's it called? It has managed identity enabled. So this is where the managed identity of the app is enabled. If I turn it off, meaning the managed identity will be turned off and the connectivity to the app or to the other Azure services that needs to go on and on with this app will be gone. So this is why once you enable, it will automatically generate the principal ID, object ID for you. And it is this object ID you will be able to take and grant appropriate role or permission on any of the services that you want this app to have access to. So I'm not sure, I think my screen is very tiny, so I've forgotten to kind of zoom in for this. Okay. So right now, the tag, I forgot to explain this tags. It's very important that you tag all your resources. You can filter resources by tags, which ensures proper governance within your Microsoft Azure environment and the services you deploy. So if I want to go here, maybe I want to go to my subscription. let me take note of my tags. I can say, okay, the tags is ACD, environment name, and all that. So while the value is project, Microsoft Foundry support. So I can go to my subscription. Let's assume I have a lot of resources, and I just need to filter by tag. So I can use the name of that tag to filter my resource. If I go to resource groups, and here I have a look at, I can filter by location. Then I can also add a filter here. I can add a filter called maybe filter by tags. Then all the tags are defined there are coming in here. Look at the tags I used to do is ACD environment name. So it will give me that this is the agent. So I can go here and check. That's the environment. So I can locate my resources without having to run through the portal. So tags is very important. It introduces a proper governance within your environment, and that is quite good. So you also use it. Maybe there'll be a section in our upcoming series for that takes you around the Azure properly. So today is not it's not the major focus today. So now I'm still uploading the deployment package, no input from, I will wait for the completion. So the deployment packages can take a whole while because the backend is a bit heavy. That most time backend is always, front-end deployment is always faster most time. So, but let's check if, let's still check it to see API. So I can, meanwhile, if you observe, there is no button to upload a ticket. As a user now, I will come to interact with this app. I can only chat right now, but I can go back while the backend is being implemented or deployed. I can tell it to add the file attached feature to the front end. So customers can upload ticket to the Azure storage, Azure Blob storage. So this is to add that, and let's see. At the end of the day, it will show up here once the app is being redeployed. So that's how you can manage all this. Apologies, it's taking time, but then it's worth it. By the time we are able to get the whole app up, you'll be able to have the recording and follow through for your own self-paced learning. I think 10 people are still, about 9 people are still on the call and being patient about. Okay, good. So, but if you have a question, feel free to ask while we implement some of this function. So want me to, now you're asking me, want me to additionally add a pencil to this. So let's see, show attachment, the most recent ticket and customers. Now about file selection, show existing attachment on the ticket. The customer already selected the ticket role and click ticket attach. That is not visible to the front end. Okay, I think it's actually relying on the backend in way. So let's see, because the API client file upload is already defined here. Okay, ticket number, file, and this one is unknown. Okay, so it's already defined, just the backend that is not deployed yet. Let's see this instant startup. Wow. Okay. So now if you want to use CI/CD pipeline to deploy this app, it might be faster. So that's another consideration you need to consider. But then the process of setting up all the secret on the environment variable can take a whole while, long while. But I can prompt GitHub Copilot, okay, let's redeploy the app. Redeploy the app using GitHub action workflow. You need to point it that there is backend. There's already backend on this thing pipelines already. There's already backend on front-end pipeline in the repo. So don't create a new one. So you see that it will pick it, and what I can do, I think I can just bootstrap the environment variables that will lead to the environment. So what I would do, I can just point GitHub Copilot that, okay, I have an environment already created that that it should load all the secret there. So the environment name is this. I will delete this test one that I use. It's asking me to verify first. Okay, so I'll just go to my authentication app. This is not clickable. Why? Okay. So yeah, I will just put my 1.4. So yeah, I've deleted that. I will now pick this name and tell GitHub Copilot that I have an environment created already. So let me see what it will do. Let it finish this first. So push and commit. Now what I need to do, I'm also going to go to Microsoft Azure environment, and this app that I created, the app registration service that I created, where is that app? So I can go to my subscription that I want to put this, I want the app to be deployed to. I can grant it access so that, or I can grant access at the resource group level, just to avoid having so much permission, the app having so much permission. But in this case, let me just grant it. But in terms of your own production environment, it is advisable that since you already known the resource group that you want to deploy the app to, it's always advisable to grant access at the resource group level. But if you grant it at the subscription level, the app registration service principal is going to have access to all the resources within that subscription. So that way you're not narrowing down your permission this thing. Let me make this app. You can make the app registration, you can add yourself as the owner so that it will just always appear for you. So go here, add yourself as the owner. Now pick this name. I need to pick the name. So I can pick this name right now. Go to my subscription, the one I want to use, and then grant it the appropriate access. In this case, I'll grant contributor access. Contributor access is the privileged role. I will click the privileged administrator role and grant it contributor role. So you'll be able to deploy the app. So without this, your pipeline will fail. So once I grant this role, so we have that has been done. So I will now pick that name, the name of this app registration that I just did now. App. So I'll pick the name and go back to GitHub Copilot that the SPN has been created, and I'm using deployment is running on GitHub. I will wait for completion. Okay, now the workflows are being triggered. So what I need to do is to prompt GitHub Copilot now. Okay, that this is the environment for the app to be deployed. This is the environment, then the environment for environment connected to the SPN with the OIDC created credential on Azure, so that it will be able to load this secret for me automatically. So this is the environment. The environment name is this guy, while the app registration name or service principal service SPN is this. So I will just ask it like that. I can now say, okay, load all the secret in the environment. So the app can they get deployed at runtime. So it's going to do that for me. And if I go back to GitHub and check GitHub action, right here we have he's still using the SCD. He didn't actually use pipeline in this case. So you can use GitHub environment CI/CD pipeline to deploy, but then it doesn't matter to deploy both. Okay, now let's check. So it's still the same thing. So if you want to, if I was specific, telling GitHub Copilot that you should use YAML file deployment, maybe you use that. But now let's see. Okay, so this are the old failed pipeline, but this is the active pipeline now. So if you open the pipeline right now, you see some steps that is trying to run through. It's going to complain. It's going to complain error here because the client, all those login is not added yet. The auth is not established. So that is just the problem here. So that is what I told you to do that. Approve the deployment in the UI. So here, because I added a caveat in the environment that every deployment must be approved. If you look at this place, see now is paused. So if I open it here, let's see. Oh, it's cancelled. I'm not sure why that get cancelled. So if I go here and open this guy, when it comes to this OC ID, this place is trying to log into the using the federated credentials that I created. Let's see if it will pass. Okay, this is it. It said was unable to open the next URL. So what I can do, I will take this error now to GitHub Copilot. Let me see what it to say. I think it just tied to the OC ID authentication 9 now. Okay, so let me to approve. Let me check this one. Okay, I think I've already approved that. So let me check. Did I approve? It's showing that I've approved from my other screen. No. Okay, if you go back to deployment and open this guy. Okay, let me check what's happening here. So the environment is being referenced. Well, it's supposed to have approved, but it didn't prompt me. Usually, let me check. Sometimes you can get notification via email, but I will check again to check that. Well, let's monitor the pipeline. Approve deploy. Okay. I think what happened is that GitHub Copilot, which is currently logged in, being notified as like me, had actually approved that. So it's approved automatically. So I can monitor that pipeline to see that it succeeds. It's building and deploying. Still logged in here, but then I need to notify that it got stuck in this place. But it got stuck. So I can just try to find out what happened there. The browser fell back in. Oh, sorry. That's another thing we need to note. So we have secret and variables. So secret are those most important detail that should remain secret, as the name implies. But variables can be maybe like you want to variable is just like maybe a resource group name that you don't know, we don't want to directly expose. You pass it as a variable, but secret would be like keys, APIs, keys, and all that. So let's take note. I think GitHub Copilot loaded some of the details as all of them are secret instead of, because some will remain as variable. The Fidelity credential is configured, but the workflow is still needs client ID and tenant ID. So let me give it that client ID and tenant ID. So tenant ID is the one that binds, that makes the deployment to recognize the organization. Tenant ID represents the organization. So in this case, it's this one, and this is the application ID. That is the client ID. So let me close this particular guy. I think GitHub Copilot is going to get it because I already passed the name of the client ID, as in the name of those app to it. All 5 variables is set on dispatch. So if you go to, let's go back to the secret a place. Let's go back here and check something. I think the pipeline actually, the login was bypassed. I think it's not still logged in. There's error, so the pipeline has failed. Now, what you to do is to redeploy another one, it will run another one. But in the meantime, let's check the environment variable and see. So we have this secret being added here. So they are being added, and let me check if it's okay. There's no secret added, so all of them are like variables. So these are variable. Now, if maybe the database connectivity will go into one password is set dispatch. So let's see. Okay, confirm the fidelity credentials on app this. Want me to verify? I can say go ahead. Okay, now you say okay. Because I set the password myself. You know, say all 5 variables are set. Now in secret, please run this video, this thing, this is, and so now I can run this one. What I will do is to run this. Let me see what up. So it will say first the secret here. Secret is the environment, the password that I use for my database. So in this case, I can just type it. So the password, the username, that's the password for the DB, has been added. So I need to run this command to deploy the app. Then let me see. Try run this to see the workflow. Okay, let me prompt this that the DB password secret has been added. So I can just prompt that now and go to this interface. So the secret for password. So this is the difference between password, that's the secret, and variables. Variables are something like this: environment name, maybe location, but secret remains secret like password. Yeah, you cannot see it. So that's one of the things there. So he has redeployed the app. So if we go back to the action tab, you see that it has started running again. You can open it and monitor the step. Oh, it fails again. So let's open to where, okay, at the deploy stage, the login is succeeded. That means the pipeline can interact with Azure directly. The login has succeeded, yeah. So federated credentials, that is the OIDC is very key. I don't get to create a secret for my app registration and all that. So, but now it has failed at the deployment stage. Let me go back to terminal. Okay, it has already detected it again because the logs was full. Oh, okay. So now I'm going to switch my own support because I think it switched back automatically to 4.1. So I need to change to codecs in terms of the agent. But let's see what 4.1 can do in the meantime. So the pipeline should automatically have triggered a new one. Yeah, run. In the meantime, let's see if the one we deployed before, oh, it's showing 500 gateway timeout. So gateway means if you check the specific error code that you also need to know. Each of these error codes has a meaning. So it's showing application error again that is not picking the database. So that is the previous one we deploy using the ACD locally. But let's see if the pipeline on will be faster and all that. I think it fails again under deployment. I think what the error is, process completion exit property does not exist in import metadata. So I'm going to pick this error again and quickly just check with an agent. So check this error. Let me see. Okay, so like I mentioned, at this point, I will just because I think we have overstayed. So let's do like this. Let's end the section right now, and then the app I will do like a second version of the video showing the deployment, full deployment. Then I will upload it too. But this one, we are going to stop at this stage. So the stage we let's recap a bit before I close, is that we switched the deployment from local deployment to using the CI/CD pipelines. We have added the environment variables and the connectivity, just a minor access permission issue for the pipeline to deploy. So each time a pipeline fails, you need to run a new one. That is the step. So yeah, the code is there, and there are about 2 branches right now. So clone anyone there, all of them are up to date. I think they share the same. Let me see if this one is behind. Okay, this one is behind the main. So you can create a pull request for this and take it down to go to main. Sorry, this should be developed to main now. So we have about 3 some pull requests here. You just create it. That you're making changes to develop branch. You can add the comment. That's the description of what was changed and all that if you have the time. So I'll just create it and then match this thing. the checks are passed, and though the pipeline is failed, but it doesn't matter. So I can just go ahead and match the changes. So once that is done, the pull request is matched, and then the develop branch and main branch are equal. And I think develop had recent pushes 6 seconds ago. It was there push. Okay, I think there's push from this guy. So if the main develop has branch, you need to create a pull request again and all that. So that's how you do it. So thank you very much for your time today. I will make the app UI come up and then record another video and post on our YouTube channel. Thank you for your time.